Okay, we are live. What's up, people? We're gonna be talking about the most toxic thing in the universe. The most toxic thing in the universe, patriarchy. As to will it ever return to the world? And quick answer, I don't think so. And Pierce doesn't think so either. Gonna be interesting. So let's wait for some people. Oh, we already got two people. Sanpo 1684. What's up, man? People gotta know.
Mm, also check on my side, because I was actually playing some simulation games here just to like chill out a bit.
Okay. What the hell? Why is my controller not working? Ah, come on. Oh, there we go. You playing what simulation game?
Yeah, like FIFA, NBA, I like sports.
Oh, FIFA. Haven't played that thing
Real.
in
What?
forever. Haven't played FIFA in forever, and I don't miss it.
Yeah, I'm playing like 23.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I know a lot of people they like, how can a nerd like sports?
Really? There are people who think like that?
Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, right? There was this girl who was into me, and she was always pretty surprised at like how versatile I am when it comes to like topics. Because I remember when I was in school, we didn't really have a physics teacher. We had substitutions a lot, right? Like we had a substitute teacher for physics, a substitute teacher for maths. So sometimes when we were changing substitution teachers, we had like free periods and stuff. So we used to chat and stuff with people. I remember I had this girl that I used to hang out with, and she was always surprised at how good I was at holding conversations on multiple topics. And she was like, "How can a nerd like sports? Isn't that like counterintuitive in a way?" I was like, "I don't understand why a nerd cannot be into sports." Because I used to like basketball and tennis back then, and I used to play rugby and cricket at school. So it was very weird, I guess, for them.
Damn. Well,
Yeah,
if
and
she,
I was the chess captain actually.
now that's Omega nerd levels right there. But if she was so impressed, why didn't she like make you a sandwich, bro?
I don't know. I actually wasn't into her. That was the problem.
Was she like 4,000 pounds?
That's the thing. She wasn't. She actually was a pretty chick. She had big boobs. She was actually a pretty cool chick.
So what
I
was the
actually
problem?
regret not being into her, man.
Yeah, now you regret it. Oh boy, somebody
Yeah,
sabotaged
now I
his
regret
chances.
it.
Uh huh. Yeah, that's weird, bro. But then again, I kind of understand. Well, I had that situation before, and I was like, "There's no point dating in high school. Y'all are gonna leave. You're not gonna see each
like,
other."
dude, and I still am the same person I was in high school. I guess I was toxic in a way, but I always felt like if I have nothing to offer in a relationship, even like, because mainly I was monetarily, like back then I was like, yo, I don't have money, right? Why would you want me? But then
Right.
again, I guess she was into my personality and like how I was thinking and stuff. But back then I was like, yo, if I don't have money, I have nothing to offer you, right? Because back then I was kind of brainwashed by, I guess my household, right? Because I have someone in my household that's always like, oh, like, if you don't have money, you don't have any value, right? Especially to a woman. But now, and like I've become wiser, right? And I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have dated her because she was kind of into me for who I was, right? But back then, I was very into like, yo, I gotta have something to offer as a man, right? I need to be able to take you out. I need to be able to do shit for you. That's my role. Not just making jokes and making you laugh, right? I was like, that's not, that's like extra stuff.
Yeah,
Mainly my role as a guy
she
is
would
to
have.
be able to provide. That's what I was thinking back then.
Nah, I mean, you aren't really wrong, and you weren't wrong, and falls nicely within the topic. But she definitely would have put you as a side nigga because you're broke, right? Most side niggas are broke dudes because a
Yeah.
woman wants your whole meat, and by that I don't mean, you know, just the mushroom. By meat, we gotta break it down. Code CGA talks about this that your meat stands for your money, your energy, your attention, and time. She wants the whole thing, but most guys can't give the whole meat. They can only give portions of it. In your case, the only thing you could afford back then was energy, attention, and time. Best believe every woman's gonna need that money, bro. So she was gonna find a guy to date who was gonna give her the money, and you were gonna supply the other needs found in the meat. So yeah, it's a tragedy, but I think right now, because patriarchy's dead, we don't need to subscribe to traditional male roles anymore because the whole system of Father, Son, Holy Spirit is dead now, right? Funny how they will always tell you, the man, I want a traditional man, pay for everything. It's like, woman, it's 2025. You know, the new Trinity is female, Negro, and gay person, right? And if you really think about it, right, this new Trinity embodies and uplifts and exalts the victim, right? The victim individual. Women are always victims. They are the original victims. Then you have the black person who is, well, another victim, the third world, a victim of colonization. And then you have the gay person, a victim of social, what's the word, segregation, ostracization, however you say that word. So it's like, no, let us turn against the people who are actually pro-life. Men in general are pro-life. Fathers don't really kill their children. Mothers are the first in line to do it, right? In the womb. And so this new Trinity is a subversion of the original. The original of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's now gone. But they still want us to behave as if we live under that old system, the old patriarchal system, where the man could lead and have control. But now he's told, like, if you want control, you are a toxic freak, right? So
Yeah.
now I'm like, wait, guys, we're gonna get to the part where this is maybe detrimental in storytelling, but socially, right? Socially, this is freedom. This is freedom, bro. Like feminism, they think they liberated women. They liberated men. They liberated men from responsibility. We don't have to be responsible for them anymore. They out here saying they strong and independent and they can do this and do that by themselves, right? But they're the ones with the most student loan debt, the biggest debt in general, whether it's credit card debt, student loan debt, whatever, bro, or medical debt because they had to do some Botox surgery, right? And they mostly want these high level, six-figure earning men. Why? So they can pay off the debt for them, right? So now it's like, if a rich man like Andrew Tate knows all of this, which he does in particular, he knows that I ain't gonna marry you legally. I'm gonna use you if I want kids. If I don't want kids, I don't want you at all, right? Maybe if I'm bored and I need to, relieve myself, I can invite you. But in general, I don't want you here because now you are a liability. And they then shame us for behaving like irresponsible man children that feminism has allowed us to be, that has enforced. It enforced this. So I was like, I remember, man, right? In my Christian path, I felt so guilty for being broke, so guilty for not being able to provide adequately, so guilty for not being able to go the distance as a man. Because the Bible condemns you, saying any man who does not provide for his family is worse than a heathen, right? So that was profound condemnation that I experienced from the book I believed so highly in. And it created this cognitive dissonance and deep frustration and inadequacy. And can you imagine how many dudes who are still keeping up with the faith, who are trying their best to be providers to women who have devoured the feminist doctrine and the feminist God of the new Trinity? It is insane. But anyway, what do you think? While I eat
Now
my
I
yogurt.
agree, man. Like it's crazy because you are right. You are right. And when you say they were trying to liberate women, but instead they liberated the freedom of, well, they liberated men from responsibility. Because the people who are benefiting the most from all of this liberation that they speak of are men. Because I saw someone talk about how it was actually a feminist talk about this. They were like, well, it was an ex-feminist. Basically, they were talking about how feminism is a scam and how like sleeping around doesn't really benefit women. It benefits men
Yeah.
in every way possible. Like, you're telling me that a guy can sleep with you and have no responsibility the day after? Like, that is a man's dream in a way. Well, most men's dream. The ones who don't want responsibility, the ones who don't want to do anything except sleep around. You're basically giving them their freedom. And you think that you're liberating yourself, but it's actually the opposite, right? And she was basically talking about how she was a feminist until she had a son. And then she was like, oh, wait. Now she's worrying about her son. Like, what if her son gets framed for rape and he didn't even do anything? And she's the only one that knows how her son operates, so the state would not believe anything except the woman. Now she's thinking like, oh my God, the government and everything is against the man. So it's basically my son against the world, and I'm the only one that has my son's back. So feminism is basically a scam, right? It basically says believe the woman with everything she says. Disregard the man at every corner. So now she's like, I cannot be a feminist and be a male, like a son mother at the same time. It's basically impossible for me. Only then did she have like a wake up call where it's like, oh shit, this is not fair. Right? So when I was listening to her talk and stuff, and she went into like a lot of issues, but mostly like American politics, but like the pro-life debate and all the stuff that's happening in America. And she was basically talking about how she can basically not be a feminist, and how the patriarchy was basically very good for women because they allowed the women to stay at home, cook, clean, do stuff that was fulfilling for them without any responsibility to anything except the household and taking care of kids, which isn't as difficult and doesn't have as much pressure as paying the bills, right? Making sure everyone is okay. Now the woman has to do those things, which is something she didn't even want in the first place. She just wanted equal rights, and now she kind of bought into this whole psyop of being able to pay bills, being able to be the leader of the household, doing all this stuff that she didn't even want to do. But because she believed in the so-called cause of feminism and everything, she kind of bought into the whole thing without knowing the side effects of everything, I guess, right? And now being a son mother, she's kind of enlightened in a way where she's like, oh my God, this is kind of like a scam, you know?
A little bit too late.
A little bit too late.
And that's the thing, bro. Like Pearl Davis always says, women were not scammed into this. They were not tricked. They chose this willingly. yada yada yada. Pearl herself is a girl, so you can't take it too serious, you know. But she is very, very smart. Um, and I said in the last live stream that women operate at a subconscious level. They are not really conscious of what they do, let alone their decisions. It's always about what's best for them in terms of survival. So when the idea that feminism is going to do this, well, it just triggers their subconscious survival mindset that, oh, I'm going to get the most out of things now for little effort. Now, of course, it's actually way more effort um, because now you have to go to the damn job, you need to work 10 hours and so on. That part, they miscalculated, right? But most of them would rather work 10 hours a day than be, well, this was part of, they were convinced into this. They would rather work 10 hours a day than be married to some oofy doofy guy, right? And I don't know, logically speaking, the oofy doofy guy might be goofy and all. Maybe he's not all that handsome. I mean, it's your choice. You get who you can get. You get who proposed to you, right? But it is still a better deal than working 10 hours a day, right? So in the end, yeah, they made the wrong decision. But it's too late now. Anyway, they cooked. And we see a lot of videos of dudes making fun of them, complaining and whatnot. Dudes be like, yeah, we got the W. It's only a matter of time before patriarchy returns. I'm like, bruh, that don't mean it's going to return. It's not going to return because right now, the requirements of patriarchy, the mechanics of patriarchy, right, they don't exist anymore, right? Or there's no need for them. And what I mean by that is that, well, technology and pseudo science and pseudo father figures are filling in the role where men need to fill in that role, right? So let's say general advice, life advice, you can ask the AI instead of asking your grandfather. You most likely emulate male figures from TV that you have seen than male figures in your environment. Like in my case, bro, I grew up with niggas shooting each other and stabbing each other, right? So who did I emulate as a young boy? I emulated Goku and Spider-Man, right? If it wasn't for Goku or Spider-Man, I'd be in jail. Because, if your father in Africa is around, well, he spends more time at the liquor store or the office. He doesn't want to be around you. So who are you going to emulate? Who are you going to see as a masculine role that you're automatically going to just be drawn to because you are a young boy? Obviously, it is the male figure that you see on the screen, right? Because the real one is either dead, in jail, ran off, or at the office, right? So the patriarchy cannot return because there's too many things that are subsidizing the fullness of its return, right? Maybe it can be in pockets like your Andrew Tate, like your David Goggins, but that's pocket. And notice how Andrew Tate and David Goggins are like hyper masculine, right? Very hyper masculine to the point where they don't fit into normal society. They don't. I mean, Andrew Tate is not married. He just has like 15 wives. David Goggins been divorced twice, I think. Not really his fault, I'm sure. But it just goes to show that exceptional men like that don't fit into society. What do you think?
I mean, that is true. They are so hyper masculine to the point where it seems unrealistic. I mean, when I look at Goggins' motivational talks, or whenever he's talking, he just seems like someone who's in a different plane. And the things that he says they seem very simple to do, but they're not. Right? He's talking like 50 kilometers or some shit, and he's talking about like how it's easy to do, and to the normal man, that has been demotivated, emasculated, right? And dealing with the normal problems of daily lives, going to work and being shat on, going home and being shat on, all those things. When you listen to David Goggins, it's either you're going to be extremely motivated or you're going to be extremely demotivated. They're so out of the normal realm that it's impossible to relate to them.
Right.
So I definitely agree, right? It takes something else, something out of you, like an exterior force, to actually change your life. And it doesn't take someone like David Goggins to motivate the normal man, because he's either so demotivated that nothing can motivate him, period. And he's already given up. He's already, like, he goes outside, he just goes to buy a snack, he has women shitting on him, like, oh my god, ew. Like, it's crazy how much the man has been like villainized, right? It's not even normal at this point, because I noticed so many guys talking about how on the 19th it was Men's Day.
I didn't even know, bro. I didn't know.
Exactly, bro. I'm hearing so many guys like, I didn't even know it was Men's Day. I didn't even know there was a Men's Day.
Yep.
Right? And it's so crazy that we have been so demoralized to the point where our own value is non-existent. It's non-existent. We don't even have knowledge of there being a Men's Day, because we're so flooded, and like the Women's Day, the Mother's Day, everything is about women. Like you said, your Trinity that you mentioned, like the gay, the woman, or the nigger, right? If you're just a normal guy, you're cooked. You don't have anything. You have nothing. Your household is all you have, and you don't even have that most of the time. You don't even have that.
Yeah.
Because you probably wifed up a girl that's a feminist now, like, you know that Akash guy that we were talking about back then? He's talking about how he wifed up a virgin, and then now the girl is like, yeah, I was getting piped down by frat boys. Like, what? So, either way, you're kind of done. So really, what we should be trying to talk about is the solution, but there really isn't any solution, unless you think you have a solution.
Now, Andrew Tate and Goggins, they propose indirectly, well, maybe Tate more directly than Goggins, but Tate proposes just go to the gym, bro, and build a physique, make money. Like, how did you make money, Tate? Oh, you pimped the hoes. Okay, some of us pimp women in our own countries, we gonna get caught and go to jail. You went to Romania, right? Well, you can pimp them and get away with it. So that just isn't sustainable, nor logical, or really helpful. When it comes to Goggins, indirectly, his solution is basically, well, work out. You know, literally run from your problems. Run 300 kilometers, right? Climb a mountain, bro. Stay hard. Wake up at 3 a.m. You depressed? Wake up at 2 a.m. Start running until your legs give out. Then you'll be too tired and broken to be miserable. Basic, right? That's basically what he's saying. And these are not actually sustainable. They're not, they don't work. They don't work, man, because this is just focusing on your physique in particular, right? A nice physique and so on, yeah, it's good, but no one cares, bro. In all honesty, no one cares. Not even the women that you're trying to impress. We see them date Harvey Weinstein, some fat freak running around, bro. You know, we see them with the taxi. They don't care because they literally don't see you. They see what you represent, you know? And look at the squeegee like Akash, right? Akash is a squeegee, floppy boy, sissy boy, fish boy, right? That woman that he married is a total thought that got blasted by chads in college, bro. Tossed around, thrown up the ceiling and everything. She even said that she let this one dude from Tinder sleep over, and dude decided to raid her butt while she was asleep. And I'm like, damn, okay. She has a type. And the type is Chad is gonna raid the butt and throw you up the ceiling. So why did she marry a squeege like Akash? It's not because Akash looks better than the Chad guys and whatnot. It's because Akash had what the Chads didn't have: money, which goes back to the meat. Is it acronym or abbreviation? I think it's an acronym, right? The meat acronym, where she wanted mostly money, which Akash could supply. She wanted Akash's attention. No, not really attention. She mostly wanted his money and energy, and she wanted attention and time from the frat boys, the Chads. So she's like, in order for me to have a nice lifestyle, I have to marry a loser like Akash, right? But I am sexually attracted to Chads. And she's not really sexually attracted to Chads in the way you think. Remember, if we go back to assessing things at a biological viewpoint, psychological viewpoint, she's attracted to those Chads because they provide a sense of safety that Akash cannot, right? Akash can provide social safety because of money, but and maybe spiritual safety to some degree, but not in the spirituality that you think. But the Chads offer primal safety because they're strong, they're tall, they buff, they hairy, right? It's got nothing to do that I do like him because he's buff and hairy. No, it's got to do with it's not that they see that. Well, I mean, they do see that, but it's way more complex than that. And when dudes realize the science behind this, a lot of guys would actually stop working so hard, because if you sit down and think about it, you have mostly been working hard to get yourself some fine chick to notice you. If you sit down and really think about it, like, don't lie. You've been doing them push-ups because you wanted her to see you. You wanted like $3,000 or $3 million because you wanted to take her out. Don't lie, bro. We know. But now, I'm saying we're free. We have no responsibility, no obligation to them. Now, if you're married already, hey man, you know what you got yourself into. Finish it, right? You can't leave. She gonna leave you first anyway. So just wait till that happens, right? So sit there, finish the race. She'll leave you eventually, right? But for those who are not married, dude, you got no responsibility. And now it's like, how do we tell new stories, bro? Right? How do we tell new stories about what it means to be a man? Because since the beginning of time, since humanity obtained consciousness, patriarchy has ruled because the man is a stronger, human compared to the female, right? It was a survival mechanism to ensure humanity does not go extinct against the forces of nature. That was the point of patriarchy. It was evolutionary. Now we're in a situation where this new subverted trinity, female, nigger, gay person, where it kicks the patriarchy away, kicks the man away, right? I mean, if you're gonna put a female at the top, okay, screw the man, right? You're gonna put a gay person, definitely screw the man. You're gonna put a nigga in there. Well, the nigga is like a very useful tool to pick cotton. So it's a castrated man, right? And that goes for every third worlder, basically. So you have eunuchs, which is the nigga, and gay people who are mentally ill, and then you have the women at the top, right? What then remains for us who are straight, sober, clean, fresh, and healthy? What remains for us? They tell us every day, no, you a threat, right? Just today, me and Pierce saw here in South Africa that it was a woman's shutdown. A bunch of females decided to go around random shopping malls, it's a psyop, of course, right? And say they're sick and tired of gender-based violence. That gender-based violence in this country is unacceptable. Hey, something's wrong with my controller, man. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to fix this. This is so weird. Okay, we're working. Oh, there we go. Yeah, women in this country are saying they're sick and tired of gender-based violence, and so they decided it would be a great idea to go to random places around the country, I guess, and say, yeah, we are going to sleep on the ground and we are going to create awareness by blocking the road that we are sick and tired of being killed by men. And I'm like, the men who do kill you, they don't even know this event is happening, right? You got normal dudes trying to go to work and you blocking the street and you calling him a killer. It's like, woman, you see, you gonna make me a killer if you don't get out the way. I'm trying to get to work. You see? So, bruh, it just doesn't make any sense. The killers are gonna keep killing, and usually the killers don't just kill. No dude just kills somebody because he woke up that day and felt like killing somebody. There's always a cause that is always thrown out in the court cases. It's always to push the narrative that no, men are just savages who kill people, right? So, absolutely not. I kind of lost my train of thought now. Stupid controller. Finish it off, Pierce. About the female thing happening in this country.
Bruh, the female thing happening in this country, honestly, I never understood the end goal. Like, what's the point? Right? They have these things that they're trying to do, like the whole purple profile picture, the whole shutdown. But I don't understand what's the main goal. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to change the law? Are we trying to, like, do something? Like, because I always thought that, like, we can, like, the whole raise awareness thing, I always thought it was in December, because in December we have a GBV thing for like 16 days, right? They always had that December GBV thing for 16 days from the start of December to like the 16th. So I was like, what's the point of the whole thing that's going on right now? What triggered it? What's the point? I never understood it. All they tell me is that, nah, bro, just change your profile picture to a purple color to raise awareness. Okay, raise awareness to what? GBV. Okay, I'm already aware of GBV, bro. I'm already aware. What's the point? What's the goal? What's going on?
What's it gonna do when your profile picture is purple? Like, will all the killers tomorrow suddenly disappear?
Like, what are we trying to do exactly? I never got it. Maybe I didn't do enough research. Maybe I don't know. Maybe someone can inform me, because I'm obviously uneducated on the whole thing. But so far, I don't understand what's going on, right? And like you said, the guy that's beating his wife up right now, he doesn't care about all this stuff. It's not gonna stop him.
It ain't gonna stop it, bro. She's gonna go to the march, come back, still get the hands, bro. It's like
it's not gonna. So I don't understand. I'm trying to make fun of anything. I'm not trying to like minimize anything. GBV is a real thing for sure. But what's the point? That's what I'm trying to understand. But as I'm trying to tie it back to patriarchy and everything that's going on. It is difficult. It's very difficult. It is difficult, and I do not see any of the movements today, any of whatever's happening,
making
like
a real
aiding
difference
or helping the matriarchy in any way. Because that's what we're trying to push these days, right? The matriarchy. Have women in charge. Have women do this. Have women do that. But honestly, the biggest opposition to women is women. It's not even men.
Right.
From what I've noticed, women are the biggest ops to women, dog. Like, if you see a woman being successful, the first person that's going to be jealous or that's going to be hating on women is most likely a woman. It's not going to be a man. Because a man doesn't even care about that stuff. He's just trying to get his own bag. That's why you have guys right now, like we said earlier, being happy with the feminist thing, because he's benefiting. He's not even going to be mad at anything matriarchal because everything that they're trying to push is so beneficial to the patriarchy. It like even how you mentioned Andrew Tate and stuff, you'll find women advocating for the fact that women should get their bag, do whatever it takes, even be pimped out, do whatever it takes. And then when a woman does do what it takes and does get the bag, women will be the first to say, "Who does she think she is? Does she think she's better than us?"
Yeah, like Money
Whereas,
Blue. Like Money
dude,
Blue.
when a guy succeeds, another guy will be like, "Yo, I need to work harder to get to the place where that guy is in. I need to work harder." Right? Guys, most of the time, I'm not saying all guys, right? There are guys who are jealous, right? But most guys will be like, "Damn, if he can get there, who is he to get there and I can't?"
Right.
That's the difference in thinking. Girls are like, "Who does she think she is?" Guys are like, "Who do I think I am to not be there? I should work harder. I should work better. I should be where he is." That's why we find inspiration from guys like David Goggin. Like the guy can run up a mountain and shit, and I'd be like, "Damn, he's made of the same shit that I'm made of. What's the fucking difference?" David Goggins could never inspire a woman, bro. Like, it's just different biology, I guess. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just different. So, I don't, like, I agree with you. I don't think the patriarchy will come back, but I do think that the value of men should come from them, as it has always come from them. Even though you're right when you say most of the time guys get motivated by girls, right? They get that six pack to impress women. They get that six pack to like they impress women. Yeah, they get motivated by that stuff, and it, it's pretty normal, really, right? Guys don't really have that innate self-esteem unless it's to provide, right? To care for my family. I'm being better for myself, for my family, for my wife, for my children, or for the mate that I'm trying to breed, right? So it's very like, but I don't know. Maybe you can help me come up with a solution for guys to help themselves without the women. How can we do that?
Yeah. I don't know, bro. I don't know because Goku said to Gohan, in order to be a Super Saiyan, the power comes from a need. And what did Gohan imagine in order to trigger enough rage in him to tap into the psyche that can unlock Super Saiyan? What did he imagine? He imagined
Dude.
Cell killing everybody he cared about. So,
Yeah.
in other words, a man can only go beyond if he has something he cares about, something that needs him, right? His mother needs him, his friends need him, the planet needs him. And because he's needed, he can go over and beyond. But if men are not needed, bro, you can't. Legit, you cannot even work sustainably hard or stick to a routine if it's not necessary. That's like you waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning every day, but you don't get paid for it, right? Why? You want to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Do I get paid? Do I get free KFC or something? Do I get anything out of this? If the answer is no, then you're not going to be able to keep doing that long term. David Goggins can wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning because the nigga got demons, bro, up in his head, yelling at him, nigga, and then he gotta wake up. He gotta run. Instead of blowing his brains out, he gotta run. So that's different. That's different. What about the normal man? He doesn't have raging demons yelling at him. He might not be able to, be like Goggins physically anyway. And so, solutions wise, it's like, okay, honestly, people, I think it all goes back to first you diagnose the fact that all what we know as men right now was told to us based on the old world, based on the old Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You see, now you look at the Father, you look at the Son. These two, well, we know the Christian whatever of it, but that just look at it metaphysically, figuratively. Father, Son. The Father runs the house. You know, if he passes on or gets too old, he passes it to the Son. The Spirit, the Holy Spirit, can resemble the system of the Father, Son, right? The whole idea of apprenticeship, the idea of maybe subtle competition as well, right? Goku training his son. The spirit of Goku remaining in his son, and even when he is gone, whoever Goku has touched or Gohan has touched, the spirit of these characters, their ideals remain in that environment. That was the power of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And now it's gone. Because Father, Son, the Father provides, creates. The Son ensures and remains responsible that Father needs to keep doing this. So I'll make sure that he can keep doing it and that I will be worthy to inherit and continue his work. That's the male nature. When we look at the female nature, their nature is just to sit there, right? Just to sit there and take care of them little kitties. But I don't think that they told us that, bro. I honestly don't think they can do a good job. Not all of them, right? Because look at what's happening right now. They just throw them in daycare, give them an iPad, and the kid's brain get fried. So I don't want to hear it. There's a great deal of misconception here about, well, what women are. And I mean, women don't know what a woman is. Remember that whole court case where one of the Supreme Court judges in America was asked, what is a woman? And she said, I don't know, I'm not a biologist. Remember that? Bruh, so you see, what the fuck is going on? You know, this is confusing. You got, how in the hell can these women not know what a woman is? When you as a man describe this is what a woman, you're evil, you're trash, you're scum. Okay, you ask them, what is a woman? Somebody born as a woman? And then you can ask them again, what is a woman? You see, all of a sudden, you're not sure anymore. They're not sure anymore. It's like, then, what's going on here? See, the father would have put the foot down and be like, this is what a woman is. And this is what she's supposed to do. But a woman does not want to step on people's toes, right? She most likely would want to go with the general consensus. And if that is, well, it is what, a woman is what we think it is on that day of the week, then she's going to say that, right? And this isn't good for society in the long term because nothing stays solid. It's always changing like the wind. And because they are more emotional than guys, well, that means indeed the definitions of things are always going to change, right? So now, if we understand that the values of old that most of us have inherited, right, are gone, bro, and we believed these values, yes, they coincide with nature, with natural law, right? They do. The Catholic women would tell you that, look, Catholicism is true and proper and whatnot because it coincides with natural law. But it's like, well, woman, if you really believe that, why don't you believe the part in the Bible that says you as a woman can't tell me anything, right? You don't. In other words, you don't believe what the book actually says. And if I were to ask you again, what is a real woman? You're not really going to quote the direct scripture, right? You're not going to do it. So it's out of convenience that they do things. But now, if we understand and all agree that What a man is, what a woman is based on the last 2,000 years and natural law stating of what it is. Well, now our society doesn't need us to believe that. Now it's letting you choose for yourself what a woman is, what a man is. You can be whatever you want. You can be non binary, bro. Right? You can be non binary. So dudes are crashing out because they ain't built to be non binary. And all the guys who are saying I'm non binary, they jacked in the head, of course. Right? They the first to blow their brains out or blow your brain out. So now it's like, okay, clearly we're not going to get a solution here from any institutions, from any establishments. We're not. The old establishment was the government says, as a man, you need to go to the military and die for your country. Dudes who had no luck in life were like, okay, I'll do it. If I survive, I'll be a hero. And I'll get a house. And maybe some woman who was a strag is going to love me and give me kids. Okay, cool, if I survive. If not, you die. Then the church says, well, this is a man. It also serving as an institution. But now, both church and state are jacked, and they're allowing you to choose what you want to be. And people are struggling to do that. They are struggling to think for themselves. That's really terrifying, ain't it? What do you think, man? Is it scary?
I mean, it is scary, man. Like, I mean, for the longest time, I mean, my generation at least. I can't even say my generation because I've seen men my age act like younger people. So I guess it doesn't matter what generation, because I'm sure you in your generation, you've seen people in your generation act a fool. Yeah. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
So I guess it really doesn't matter what generation, because people buy into psyops every day. So what I can say is upbringing. That's literally all I can say. Upbringing, because that's what I can trace it back to. Because my upbringing was, I don't go outside. I don't chase trends. I don't trade, like, the short-term fulfillment that everyone got back in the day wasn't something I was taught. I was always taught to take care of myself, take care of my siblings, take care of the woman in a way, right? That's what being a man is, taking care of business. So nowadays, though, that's not the ideology that's being taught to men, young boys, and things like that. Now, young boys are being taught that, hey, being gay is okay, right? And that's not a bad thing, but the way it's being pushed down their throats is almost a form of brainwashing in a way. And it's not as empowering as most people think it is, because I do not think that telling people to be gay was the answer. I thought that teaching people who have problems with gay people was something that should have been focused on. Not just telling young people in kindergarten to like, nah, bro, you should be gay. Nah, you should be trans. Right? Like, take these hormones and stuff. Because I saw in America they're forcing kindergartens to teach gender studies and gender politics and things like that. And it's like, bruh, why? These people don't even know what they want to eat. You telling them to choose what they want to be for life? Get surgeries and stuff. Like, now I'm delving into a completely different topic, but going back to topic, it's very difficult, man. And I do think that upbringing is the most important thing in a man's life. And like you said, that the wisdom we get from grandfathers and fathers is completely being dismantled by AI and everything that's on the internet. So it is scary. It is scary, but I guess it is up to you and me and people who have similar thoughts to change our own lives and our own offspring. Me myself, I don't really plan on having kids at all. Like, uh, that's why I think Zeke is my favorite character in Attack on Titan, because his
Oh.
whole ideology is that the best gift you can give your kids is to not bring him is to not bring them to this world. And the world of Attack on Titan is already pretty messed up. But this world, the reality that me and you live in, is worse, and is getting worse by the day. So, but I'm not advocating for like euthanization. No, I do think that my principles and my beliefs are founded in the fact that I'm pretty much broke, and I don't have power. I do feel like if I had a lot of money and I had a lot of power, I would change my beliefs. That is something that would change my beliefs. And I do think I would have offspring if I had the money and the power to shape the world around my children.
Right.
But since I do not have any of those things, I have no interest in being a father. Even though being a father is something that's fulfilling to every man, I do like
Whoa.
100% agree.
You do?
That
Where
being-
do you hear that? That being a father is fulfilling to every man.
The thing is, it's like, don't you think that living a life and having experiences, all of those things have value in the way that you pass them on? Don't you think that, especially being a man, right? Especially to the male gender, don't you think you, as a guy, having your experiences and having the knowledge and the wisdom that you have, yeah, sure, it's valuable to pass them on to other men. Like your whole channel, dog. Like your whole channel is basically teaching people how to write stories and how to find fulfillment in not being a hunchback. Teaching them how to consume media. Teaching them how to consume stories and create stories. Don't you think that is a form of mentorship, a form of fatherhood, a form of you having shitty experiences and teaching the next generation to not make the same mistakes you made or the same thoughts that you had? Don't you think that is the main, kind of like the core principle of kind of being a father? Isn't it fulfilling to do that? You're kind of already being a father by making the whole channel, by having this podcast with me right now. You are already showing fatherhood and father principle, like not principles, but like attributes, by teaching people that you don't even know. Don't you think it would be more fulfilling to teach that to your own blood?
Well, when you put
Think
it like
about it.
that, you're right. You're right.
Exactly. It's so fulfilling, bro. And it gives purpose to your mistakes. It gives so much more to all your feelings and your mistakes and everything. The fact that you can guide someone else to not make those mistakes that you made, it kind of gives them value. It kind of makes you feel less shitty about the mistakes that you made. So it is fulfilling to you, and it is fulfilling to your child, your offspring, someone that you can make better, something that you can leave behind when you die. Sure, you can say being a mangaka, my project or my story is something that I leave behind, but that's, when you think about it, it's like when you leave an offspring behind, bro, it's like a part of you. Because I remember talking, I know I'm going off topic right now, but I remember talking to someone about souls, right? And I was saying something like, a soul doesn't have to be something that is physical or even spiritual. Like if I myself as Pierce, I'm living my life, right? Even if I don't have a kid, right? I'm living my life. I'm talking to you, Coffee. I'm talking to someone, and I'm talking to my family, and I'm talking to everyone I know, my friends, even acquaintances. If I die, my soul lives in the conversations I had, the people I talk to, the people that think about me even when I'm dead. They're like, oh shit, there was that guy I listened to on a podcast, and he was talking some shit, right? That's my soul, man. It's living there. And my soul shines brighter if it lives in my offspring, bro.
That is.
Think about it.
Nah, that is absolutely wonderful, bro. And I agree. But here's the problem, right? Coffee always gotta bring the problem. The problem is that you cannot control your kids' interests in what you have to offer. Aside from what they generally need from you, food and shelter, you know, your guiding principles might not be enough for them, or they might not be interested in them, because now the world they find themselves in, they don't have to navigate life the way you do, right? And it depends, of course, if you are a wise enough father to understand the new world you're in. Like most parents, like boomer parents or Gen X parents, they could care less about the real world right now, right? If a son is going through some hard time in the dating world, 9 out of 10, the mother and father will give him terrible advice on how to get a date, because their reference point is how it used to be in 1985, right? In 1999, they're always going to reference moments, well, the best moments in their lives. That was easy for me, right? I did it. Tucker Carlson will tell you that all the time. So it's not so simple. And of course, if you are a father and you have a girl child, you are very much so limited in what you can teach her. You are very much so limited in how much discipline, right? Now, I ain't saying grab the belt, but look, the belt helps. But it should never be to the point where you need the belt all the time. So I'm talking from experience that having a child that's a girl, right, I'm limited, bro. I'm honestly limited. And now fully understanding the nature of you know, the female creature, everything you teach them, right? Everything that they can know subconsciously that you instill in them, it will never be louder than the algorithm of TikTok. Never. It will never be louder than the voices of their friends. It'll never be louder than their general nature anyway, which is to get the most out of things from everyone, right? For you as the father, you just have one job. Feed me. Get me clothes. Buy me cookies. I want a milkshake type thing. That's cool. You can do the basic things as well, like to do your homework and okay, look, this is what this means. You know, no, you don't spell that word like that. Yada yada yada. When you try to teach a young girl, not even try to teach her something, but when you try to understand a young girl's vision for her future, it's different to how you would ask a young boy's vision, right? Now, if I had a boy, it would be much easier. But since I have a girl, what you can do is find out what she hopes for herself in the future. And pray that she ain't hoping to be J-Lo or Ariana Grande, right? Or you know, these skeezers we see on social media and whatnot, and be a new Nicki Minaj or something, right? Now they can tell you what you want to hear because they don't want to be judged, right? But at school, they can be like, yeah, I'm gonna be Ice Spice, yeah, girls, yeah, look at me, bruh. You don't know if she's twerking at school already. You don't want to know, so you're not gonna park the car and see if she's twerking at during, you know, school break with the friends or not. Then you're gonna get out the car with a belt. You're not gonna do that, you know, because that's embarrassing. So if she says, I want to be a dentist, right? You need to understand that does she really mean this? 9 out of 10, no. Right? She's telling you what, well, she's thought about and maybe what appeals to her, but she's not really sure. In the end, how they have visions for themselves and what they want to accomplish in life, it's not the same as a guy. They mostly want to assimilate within society. They don't want to change society. They don't want to innovate anything in society, right? So you can motivate them that, oh, you want to be a dentist? Okay, well, let me go buy you a dentist book. You can buy it, and she pretends to read it, and she's not interested. She doesn't yet fully know what she's interested in. aside from the general thing of I just want to fit in type thing. So this is the problem with having kids. Even if you had a son, right, you don't have full control as to like will he be interested in what you're interested in, or does he wish to navigate life the way you do, even if you're a wise father. So that's why, like, I I think there is more freedom, or it is better actually to have spiritual children, right, who come to you willingly and be like, yo, man, I see you offering some good knowledge here, some caffeine, bro. Let me hear what you got to say. Now, that already is apprenticeship. That already is father son relationship, right? It's not by blood at all, but it's by spirit. It's like I resonate with what you got to say. I'm willing to hear, I'm willing to implement what you got to say, type thing. And that's the luxury you have with strangers compared to, well, your own kids.
No, like, before I say anything, right, I just want to say that whatever I say from here on out is pretty much fodder ramblings, right? Because obviously you are in a higher position than I am, right? You actually have a kid, and I don't have a kid. I'm just like, my credentials are just, I'm a 24-year-old guy who's rambling on the internet. That's my credentials. I actually don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Whereas you actually know what you're talking about because you have a kid, right? So I just want to say that whatever I say from here on out is just theory, pretty much, and it has no experience behind it.
Right.
I just want to clear that out. So obviously, what you're saying has more weight, way more weight, than what I'm saying. I just want the people to know that. But what I do want to say is, actually, me personally, I would actually much more prefer it if my kid, like my hypothetical kid, obviously, doesn't do or doesn't live the life that I have lived. I would actually prefer it if my kid is not an artist at all, not a writer, not in the creative space, totally. That is actually one of my biggest fears about having offspring. Is that, and I hate that I'm like saying offspring is such a like a technical term, but like kids. I'm just gonna try to say kids from here on out. But I would actually, it's one of my biggest fears that if I do have a kid, I pass on whatever I have in me. That is one of the things that I actually stop. That is the biggest thing. Much more than money, much more than power, is the fact that I would shed whatever negative attributes I have to the next generation of myself. Because, not that I have a low self-esteem or that I look down on myself, it's just that I know I have major problems that I haven't dealt with, and I would definitely hate to pass that on to my offspring, to my kid, right? It's something that keeps me up at night if I do have kids.
You know what that sounds like?
What?
You know what that sounds like?
What does it sound like?
It sounds like you're trying to right your wrongs through your kids.
It does, right? It does. But the thing is, I do not want them, I don't want to make them while I'm wrong. That's the thing. That's why I'm scared to have them, because I know I have so many wrongs in me. I don't want them to have my wrongs. I want them to make their own wrongs and to try to fix them with the wisdom I'm giving them for my wrongs. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, sort of.
Yeah, I want them to live their own lives, even though I can give them wisdom or knowledge. The thing is, I don't want to teach them how to draw a straight line. Like, I'm an artist, I know how to draw straight lines. I don't want to teach them that. I want to teach them that any pen or pencil can make a straight line, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, so I definitely don't want them to be an artist. I want them to be something completely different if I could control it. But I also wanted to say this because you were talking about how you can't control what your kid does or what your kid is into or what your kid likes and stuff like that. I wanted to say how I would actually much prefer that. I would actually much prefer that they don't like the same things that I like. I would like that because it would make my mistakes or my knowledge much more deeper because I would be able to create advice that would help them in any situation. It would make me even wiser, right? And I know that I'm not a parent, right? I'm not a parent. I'm not going to claim to be a parent. I'm not going to claim to know how to parent kids because I've never been in that situation. But I would assume that your kid being in a situation that you've never been in would make you wiser, would make you think about shit. I've never been in that situation. How would I handle that? Right? It would make you wiser. And obviously, environment plays a huge part in someone's growth than parenting. I would assume, like, if I'm teaching someone values and they grow, and I send them to a school that is in a crazy environment, something like somewhere where my values and philosophies don't really apply, and they have to adapt to the situation that they're given. That plays a bigger part in their growth than my advice could ever play a part. I believe that. So there's obviously a lot of things that play a part in someone's growth, and you as a parent but can try to control the environment, not control their lives. That's why you'll find parents try to find the best schools, try to find the best neighborhoods to teach for their kids to grow up, because they're trying to control the environment, because they know they can't really control that 100%, right? So I do believe that those things play a huge factor, much more than you do as a parent. That's my response to what you said. The fact that you have no control to what they like, to what they're into. By trying to control the environment that they are in, you can, like, by trying to control where they grow, you can try to control the environment, in which turn controls how they grow up, right?
Yeah, it has influence over the outcome. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
Nah, totally, you know. But these days, most parents cannot control the environment. They don't have the liberty to move to a better environment, you know. And if you're one of those people, definitely don't have kids. Some people have the kids anyway because they thought God will provide. And well, God, where you at? You know? Oh no. Man, there's a flipping lizard up in here. Let me try and kill it. You know, there was another lizard this morning and I killed it. Where did this one come from? What's going on?
It's the offspring, bro.
Oh, it's the damn lizard offspring. That is so weird. I don't get it. Like, where did it come from? How am I gonna kill this thing? Okay, but keep talking while I try to kill it. Bastard, and this room is not all that.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I'll just read the comments. Read the comments.
Bro. I got it. Die, you
Nice.
mother fudger.
Rookie Rock Solid says, sigh. The price of freedom is steep, indeed. Freedom might be the most expensive thing in the market right now, actually. Could be.
Of course. Always has been.
Always has been, yeah. Luck Art says, for real. Found out about Men's Day a day later. Only one person spoke of it. Dude, it's like a secret, man. Like, they must not know they have a day or something like that.
Yeah. They're keeping us in the dark.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. Rookie Rockside also says the dawn of patriarchal society was when the population started growing exponentially. Before that, we were autistic and matriarchal. That's why Italy, Japan have female PMs. Just a theory, though.
What's a PM?
Like a prime minister.
Wait a minute. What? You know,
He
the
says,
Japanese prime minister was the first of its kind. So,
I think Italy also has a female prime minister, doesn't it?
yeah, and I don't know, I guess she was the first one. But what does that have to do with with anything? I don't get. Read it again.
He says the dawn of patriarchal society was when the populations started growing exponentially. Before that, we were autistic and matriarchal. That's why Italy, Japan have female prime ministers. Just a theory, though.
Yeah, that's the part I don't get. That part I don't get. And so before big big populations in societies were more matriarchal. I think not in not in social dynamics and interactions, but maybe in expression and possibly in spirit. And I say that because most people in those days they would worship fertility gods, right? Either the calf, the golden calf, or you know Ishtar, any type of fertility god, right? So when you put it like that, definitely there can be matriarchal aspects to it, but I wouldn't say at a foundational level where the social dynamics were like that. So
Uh, I, and then Black Swan Story says, from my experience, and then he doesn't say anything. What are you saying, bro?
yeah, like yeah, I saw that. I'm like, wait, bro, you're not done yet.
Yeah, type it, bro. Kingslayer says, what's Pierce's channel name? I have two channels, bro, but they both have the same name. Just one has 10, the other has 20, but both of them are attestation, right? So if you just search attestation with a 0 at the end, you'll get one. One is a gaming channel, one is a writing channel, but not mainly writing, because I talk about a bunch of stuff. Recently, I just made a video about why classical literature matters. And then before that, I made a video about why having main characters be villains could be a problem, because we have such an illiterate society that cannot critique media or consume media in a way that's educational, or just to consume media in a good way. Because now people are thinking that Joe Goldberg is a good character, he's a good person. Oh my God, he's just misunderstood. People are thinking Light Yagami is just misunderstood. He was trying to do the right thing. No, Walter White is the villain. Light Yagami is the villain. He's killing people. Yeah, he's morally great in his motivations when he started, but he's a fucking villain. Okay, like people cannot consume media in a good way these days. But I'm going off topic. Anyway, let me just read more comments. But yeah, those are my channels, bro. You can just tune in if you want. The gaming channel is kind of like where I just talk freely about games that I like and stuff that I'm thinking about relating to games. But yeah, you can check that out. Black Swan deleted a comment when I was about to read it.
What the heck?
But yeah, and then Bloodness says, talk your talk, Pierce, with a fire emoji. Thank you, Bloodness. Thank you. Rookie Rock Solid also has like some emojis with speakers. Well, not speakers, but sounds. I guess it's also reiterating what Bloodness is saying. I guess that's when I was ranting about fatherhood and stuff like that. Lux says, from that perspective, it really is fulfilling, at least to a man who cares about those things. For sure. I assume every man cares about those things. But what kind of man would not care about having his existence
Well,
validated?
slowly, men are being conditioned at a subconscious level to abandon this responsibility, abandon this intrinsic DNA program or whatever program in our brain, the need to be a father or a son, right? Because I was watching Myron Gaines recently, the guy from Fresh and Fit. He was debating some people at some Ohio University, right? And it was mostly guys who came along, and some gave him a thank you that, hey man, you saved my life. I almost cut myself, yada yada yada. But then there were other guys also who were, rainbow freaks and general dudes who were like there to get clout or something, in which they were very much so highly programmed against what Myron was doing. Because one guy asked him, "Why are you doing this? Why are you sharing all this information, Myron? Like, what's the point? This is a waste of time. Like, don't you think we should all just take personal responsibility and focus on what we can control?" In my mind, Myron didn't say this. In my mind, I'm like, this retard doesn't understand that if Myron doesn't address all these things happening, what you can control will keep diminishing by the day, to the point where the only thing you'll be able to control is is what even? Well, the amount of water you can drink in a day in your jail cell. That's it. Because they keep taking more and more of our rights away, our freedom, our personal sovereignty, our individuality, to the point where, indeed, the only thing you want to have left to control is how much water you can drink in your jail cell, or if you want to sleep in your cell, or you're going to stay awake. That's it. But even that will be taken. So I'm like, you see, that's a man right there who has been programmed to fight against the spirit of fatherhood, right? Why are you telling men these things? It's like a woman negating being corrected, negating accountability type of thing. So in other words, this programming actually does work. In the long term, right, dudes really will legitimately start thinking like insane females who will be against all authority that isn't the ultimate authority, which would be the state, right? So it's rather frightening, but that's the reality.
Yeah. Nah, man. I have to go take a piss.
Okay. Are the comments
I'll
done?
be back, bro. No, there's actually quite a bit,
Okay.
but I'll be back.
All right.
Alright, give me a second. I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, y'all. I don't know where the lizard came from, man. I had a bad feeling this week was gonna be bad. And you want to know what happened? Yeah, it was bad. I got bitten by a spider by my stomach. It bit my stomach, man. And I was like, I was itching. Oh, what's going on? My stomach feels weird. And then, right, I thought it was a mosquito bite, so I squeezed the area, thinking that it'll go back to normal. No, it ended up swelling up, and it was really painful. It felt like something was constantly biting my stomach. So I had to go to the doctor today. The doctor had to get a scalpel and cut me open to get all the poison and nastiness out from the area. And that was the first time I've experienced a spider bite. And I'm sad that I didn't turn into Spider-Man, honestly. But oh well, it was a spider, and now a second lizard that I killed. I don't know where they're coming from. Like, this room is secure. I don't know how they infiltrated here. But I've always had a lizard problem. And now it seems like they back. Oh well. Man, Trump's trying to kill me here.
I'm back, bro.
Did you wash your hands, man?
Of course, bro. What do you expect me, to just walk around with unhygienic hands, bro.
Hey, you never know. Had to make sure, right? But okay.
Nah, bro, they clean. Don't worry.
Alright.
So let me read more. What were you talking about with the audience?
Now I was just sharing my spider bite story that I got bitten.
Let me read. Let me read. Black Swan says, "You never know what you're going to get. An environment is stronger than parental influence most of the time." Oh yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. LeMay said, so Roman-style adoption. I guess you're talking about what you said, mentorship and apprenticeship. You know, even though it's not blood, you can have a father-son relationship with someone.
Which, that reminds me, the video of the fall of the Roman Empire is scheduled for release this Sunday on Coffee Ultimate, right? There I go through a portion of Marcus Aurelius and how he was the last emperor of the Golden Age, apparently, right? And he's the one who also wrote about it is not through blood that one can inherit your spirit, but it can be in principle also. And an emperor does not need to be by blood in order to take the throne. But he abandoned his own advice and put his crazy son on the throne, and he burnt the place down. So yeah, Marcus Aurelius is so, for someone who was classified the most wisest emperor ever, he made the most retarded move humanly possible. But anyway, just had to say.
Yeah. For sure. Now I do feel. Plus, in the Roman Empire, guys weren't really fertile, you know.
What do you mean?
I don't know, man. They didn't have a lot of offspring. Do you know who Alexander the Great's son is?
Did he even have a son?
Exactly my point.
Yeah, but Alexander was Greek.
Which great emperor or conqueror do you know has a son that was also a great man as much as they were?
Yeah, not one, bro.
Exactly.
Wait.
Most of the time,
Alexander's father. Wait, Alexander's father was actually pretty great, and Alexander, well, inherited the spirit of the father and became greater. In fact, also Xerxes, his father Darius, he improved upon it, you know. So yeah, they're actually there, but it's mostly, it doesn't go past the second or third generation.
Yeah. And most of the time they share their their essence with someone who's not of the lineage, right? Not a direct descendant. Yeah, so I do think what you're talking about can be fulfilling, but I don't know. It's not black and white, and I do like that. But anyway.
Well, you should get a kid, bro, and then find out.
Nah, bro, I don't want a kid.
Yeah, you'll find out, all right.
Yeah, nah, let me read. Black Swan says, do you think when comparing Western and East Asian society, the ability to influence children varies due to different societal pressures?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say part of the language system also, like in Chinese, Japanese language, a lot of the principles, social dynamics, history, mythos are in the language itself, you know, especially in the Chinese one. So it has there's a great deal of difference, you know. But of course, since now everybody's modernized, well, it's not going to be the same as it once was.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Young Wavy says, I just dropped my first video back on the channel. You should do a reaction to it. We're gonna end this year off strong.
All right, I'm definitely gonna do that. Let's see. Maybe tomorrow when I come back from work. Okay.
Alright. Blood Swan says, my boy fighting with lizards in the house. Some real African shit.
Nigga, don't remind me, bro. It's either damn niggas next door and their stupid dog, or some damn lizard somehow coming in up in here, bro. Just ain't fair, bro.
LeMay says, I kind of miss hearing geckos chirping at night, kind of.
You miss it? You know, I didn't know geckos could make sounds until long time ago. Like, there was a giant gecko, bro. It was gray and had black spots. And it was in my parents' bedroom. And, I mean, we're all freaked out because we've never seen a gecko that big and that ugly. So, you know, everybody calls my dad like, yo, there's a giant lizard in the house. He comes through with the broom. Nigga swings. Kept missing. And the lizard was just staring at us, bro. And then finally, he nails the hit. And, bruh, it screamed. It screamed, bro. We were all terrified. We didn't know lizards could scream. You know? And I was traumatized ever since. But, you know, he made things worse. When there was another giant lizard in a different room, he made me kill it. And there was so much blood everywhere, bro. And I killed it with a mop. And he said, wash the blood. I'm like, nigga, why not ask the gardener to wash the mop? I don't want to get no lizard blood on my hand. He said, wash the blood, and I'm not leaving until you wash it. So that was the second traumatizing experience. You know, hearing it scream, and then washing all the blood off the mop with my bare hands. So, yeah. That's Africa. You know?
For sure, bro. Let me read. Medajin says MEAT. Ja 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 ja. I was talking about your meat acronym.
Oh yeah, that meat acronym is real, bro. Don't give all of it when a female comes your way. Be like, which one you want? You want my money? You want my energy? You want my attention? Or my time? If she says all of it, you can't afford it. Well, most guys can't. So.
Too much. It's too much. LeMay says Japan was matrilineal at one point. It is easy to trace a child based off the women. It was mostly based off a property. It was mainly based off property rights. In China, it was the emperor and his mom, the widowed empress.
But you know, they say that, and I don't really understand how it's easier to trace lineage through the mother. The mother could have been impregnated by anybody. You know, Genghis Khan, when he went to go save his wife, after she was abducted by a rival force, you know, she got pregnant. He doesn't know when the seed was dropped in her, but they all knew that, bro, most likely the captain of the raiders, you know, unleashed gallons up in there, and this child might not be yours. And he didn't care because he really loved that woman at the time, even though she got blasted, most likely by all the captains of the rival forces. But he didn't care, right? In spirit, he said, this is my child, no matter what, because I just care about the woman. So I don't understand when people say it's easier to trace using the mother. I don't get it. Do you get it?
I don't know. I guess a little bit. I'm not sure, though.
I guess you don't get it, bro. So, it's fine.
Alright, man, let me read. Luck says, Coffee knew he had to eliminate that lizard. Africans knows it well, might not even been a lizard.
Oh yeah, man. Could have been a witch doctor just, sending his familia over here, watching it. So,
Yeah, Rookie Rockstar says, All hail Lord Google. What do you mean by that, bro?
yeah, what do you mean?
Luck Art says, Even with education, I remember coming home sixth from the top in class once my dad almost killed me. Youngest sister comes in sixth from the bottom and gets away scot-free. Like, what? Did y'all get tired?
Yep, that's how it is.
And then he says, just realized this was my first time hearing of someone getting bitten by a spider in Africa. Surprisingly rare considering how common they are.
Yeah, man. Luckily, I guess if it was a rain spider, because the most dangerous ones in this region would be a rain spider, and I would have seen that one because it's massive, right? We do have, I think we do have some form of black widow, but I just wish I knew what spider bit me because I can't find it. It's still somewhere in the house. What if it bites me again? Right? So now I'm fighting with lizards and spiders. Bruh, it just ain't fair, man. I knew this week would be bad, but this is next level. So.
Yeah, I've never been bitten by a spider. I have spiders in my legs right now under my table.
Oh yeah? Well, must be those normal baby spiders, bro.
Yeah, it must be. But I've actually never been, I don't wear shorts. And I try my best not to wear short sleeve shirts. Like, I'm always covered. Like, I never leave my skin out.
Well, this one bit my stomach, bro, above my belly button.
Damn,
Right?
well, what the hell was that?
Exactly. When? How? Was it when I was sitting on the chair with my shirt on? Or maybe I was asleep with no shirt, right? But I was in the blankets. So, it's scary, bro. It's possibly still in the blankets, man. So.
Yeah, that is scary.
Oh well.
Alright, let me read some of the comments, man. Oh yeah, actually no, that's all of them.
Yeah, freaking spiders. Going back to the patriarchy then. Yeah, man. Like if there are no rules to be a man, establish rules, right? Rules that we can look to for examples and stuff like that. Yeah, we are free, but you see the price of freedom is great uncertainty. It's this gigantic void. This is why people don't run away from hunchback Discord servers. Because when they are free and by themselves, they can't operate by themselves. They don't know what to do with the freedom. They're like, I'm free, away from the tribe. I'm an individual, but what am I going to do? Who's going to tell me what to do? Who's going to tell me what to think? I'm afraid. And then they go back. They go back to the Discord server. They go back to hating me and trying to, prove to other people in the server that they hate me as much as the others do. When you most likely find that they don't. Right? So it is one hell of a pickle. Because now I honestly see it as all these masculine stories that we're trying to tell. The new generation definitely will not be able to receive them. In other words, it means our reach or our target market is severely limited right now. Right? We can't think all young boys are into any masculine stuff. We can't assume that anymore. We have to be aware that, hey, 9 out of 10 probably aren't. You see?
Mhm. Nah, for sure, I agree. I agree. I do like the idea of the fact that freedom isn't free. It always has a cost, and sometimes the cost isn't uh, worth it because when you're free, most people don't actually even need freedom to live a fulfilling life. Some people,
Oh, say it again.
some people, some people don't need freedom to live a fulfilling life. Some people thrive better under rules that are set by someone else. Some people thrive better serving either than creating or um, living lives that they build themselves.
Right.
Yeah, some people just cannot um, create. And when I say create, I don't really mean like drawing or writing or artistic creation. No, no, no. I mean like creating a life for yourself, living under your own rules, under your own morals. Because most people cannot think. That is mainly because of the society that we're living in, mostly because of um, the systems that we live in that condone and even advocate for hunchback behavior. Right now, you are an outcast if you are a thinker. That is the society that we're headed towards.
That
If
we
you
are
have,
in.
yeah, that we're in pretty much, right? So we're living in a society that basically comforts people who are followers. We live in a place where being a free thinker, critical thinker, it's not the norm anymore. Back in the day, when you had a unique solution to a trivial problem, you were hailed as, wow, this guy's thinking outside the box. Right now, there is no box. The whole world is a box, right? So that's where we're living right now. So I do agree when you say that freedom isn't what we thought it was back in the day. Freedom right now is slavery. I'm free because I cannot think for myself. Why would I want to think for myself? God damn, thank God I'm free from thinking for myself.
Yeah.
This is the real freedom. This is the freedom that will be sold to our children. The freedom of being free from critical thinking. Don't worry, we'll solve your problems for you. We have the solution, right? Believe in us, the government. Everything is okay. Don't worry. That is what's gonna happen in the future. Everyone who's a critical thinker will be thrown in jail, or worse, executed, right? Because we don't want people brainwashing people into thinking for themselves. So it's scary. It is scary.
You know, I don't think.
Imagine.
Go ahead.
What? Yeah. What we? No, no, no. You go ahead. I've been talking enough, bro.
I was gonna say like, I don't think they need to throw us in jail as critical thinkers. Maybe they can censor you, right? But here is the oxymoron or the paradox, right? Now, I said that this world is governed by duality, meaning absolute evil cannot exist. Can't. Absolute good cannot exist, right? But evil will always be the majority because that is what gives value to the good, right? Good is good because it's scarce. That's just how it is in general, you know. There's more value in items that are scarce than that are abundantly available, right? That's just how it is. So, understanding this, it means that there is still going to be good. It just is going to be limited. It always was limited. We were just living in a fool's paradise. Psyops, conditioned by Disney Channel, right? And most people were under the same conditioning. So we all felt like we're following the same script. Suddenly, that one script was torn apart and there were multiple scripts And now people ain't getting along. People are fighting. People don't know what's going on. And now people have to choose their own script. They have to think which script is best for me. They crash out. They want a script given to them, right? The government offers many scripts. Here's Antifa. Here's the LGBT. Here's the pro-black. Here is whatever, right? And as time moves forward and more people are being retarded, here is the silver lining that I saw. Silver lining is, believe it or not, the AI, right? Despite the brain rot that AI produces and the mass consumption of brain rot, there is still a fair portion, the right size portion of people consuming AI for philosophical knowledge, right? And basically all the findings of things that matter. AI has been able to summarize that and create like thousands of videos that you can consume that give you the correct information about how the world actually works. I've been watching these myself and I was like, this is actually great because I'm not just being retarded and believing everything it's saying. I read the books and I know what it's referencing, you know, and I'm like, wow, this is actually good. So here we are, most people fixated, focused on the negatives of the future. But the future has always been scary for most people, especially when you have no control over it. You never really had any control over it, except unless you're an oligarch, right? But most people, they're always fearful of the future. So now the AI is creating thousands of video content for self-improvement, things related to philosophy and how to unlock inner peace, and indeed to rewrite your own narrative for your own life. The AI is producing these things, or there are people telling the AI to produce exactly this, right? That's the positive. Now people can say, well, is it going to help me make $6 million? The thing is, eventually, in fact, that $6 million doesn't even belong to you anyway. Since we are under a fiat, system, bro, you ain't got no $6 million. It ain't yours, you know? So why are we pretending out here? Everybody broke. You looking at your bank account right now, you're like, oh, thank God, I got $8,000 in there. That ain't yours. At any day, it can be taken, right?
That actually reminds me of James Brown. You know who James Brown is?
The dancer,
Yeah, the dancer singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he once told some celebrity to be like, hey yo, once you get money, bro, withdraw it and bury it somewhere no one knows, bro. As long as it's still in the bank, it ain't yours.
It ain't yours, man. And that's the thing, like here in South Africa, bro, we change the money, the paper money, like every 5 years?
Yeah.
Every 5-6 years they change the paper money. It looks different. It has different codes, new paint, new colors, new images. And there was one gangster that this woman once told me about, that he stole a whole lot of money long ago in 2001, and he put it in a giant bag. So that all that money is old money that accumulates to 2 million rand. So he's still carrying a bag filled with 2 million rand, but the paper money is the old paper money, bro. It's the old Nelson Mandela, not even the Nelson Mandela one. It's the big five animal South African money, bro.
Yeah.
So it's useless. He can't trade it in. If he did, he'd be arrested. Be like, whoa. What, you get 2 million in cash of this old money? Nah, something wrong.
Yeah.
So
that's fucking crazy, bro. But I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to say something when you talk about AI and how you've been using AI as a tool. And it made me think of Batman for some reason, right? James Gordon has always asked Batman why he doesn't share his resources with the state, right? With the police, with the public. And Batman always has this thing where he's like, one man's tool is another man's weapon, right? And that makes me think. Like, people who are always scared of the future, people who are always thinking about AI taking over, people who are always worried about AI destroying the youth, destroying content, destroying education, destroying the workforce, destroying everything. Those are people who don't really know or understand how AI works. It's the same people who believe any video they see made by AI and they think it's real. Right. However, I do think that, like you said, you use AI for philosophy and stuff like that. I also use AI too. Like, I've always believed that AI was never the problem. It was always the consumer, right? How do you use it? How do you consume it? It was always that. It was always the input and the output, never the intermediary, right? AI was never the problem. However, I do think that the fact that AI is it's so available, right? It's available to anybody and anyone right now. I do think it contributes to the dead internet theory. Do you know what the dead internet theory is?
Yeah, all these bots throughout the internet instead of real people.
Yeah, and I do think that it's a good thing. I actually do think that internet theory is gonna happen at some point.
Don't you think it's already here?
What?
Don't you think it's been happening, bro?
Not to its full extent, bro. It is happening now. Like, AI is pretty realistic right now. It's very good right now. But I do think it will get better. And by getting better, I don't mean in terms of the content that it's producing. I think in terms of mass production. I do think anyone will be able to look in their phones, go to YouTube or whatever social media platform they use, and see something that's AI and immediately believe that, okay, this is AI, right? I do think it can get to that point where everyone has access to it, not in terms of creation, but in terms of consumption, and everyone will be like, okay, let's put down the phone. It's pretty much useless at this point. Nothing on the phone is worth it. Let me go talk to someone real. Let me go to the mall. Let me go to the park and sit down, look at some dogs, some birds, and some people. I do think that will happen in the future. Unless something happens and stops the progress of AI right now, because it's progressing very fast. But I do think that will happen at some point, and nothing on the internet will be real. Because right now, man, it's so realistic that I don't know if you watch WWE, but there's a guy who created an AI image of himself kissing a WWE superstar, a female superstar, right? It looks so realistic, bro. It looks so realistic, and the athlete is actually married, right? And she was on Twitter telling the guy to like delete it because it's inappropriate and it's fake, and people only found out later that it's actually AI because the guy actually told the people that, oh God, this is AI, guys. Like, it's not real. It's actually AI. And it's so realistic, man. Like, you can't really tell if it's AI or not. Only people who are used to using AI can tell if it's AI or not. So the common folk who doesn't use AI already believes that, oh my God, there's superstars kissing a random stranger. So I think it's gonna be worse. Yeah. But I also do think that people like you or me or anyone else who uses AI with a purpose, like, hey, I've read this book, give me the points I need to make a video, and they give you the points and you can verify them because you've read the book, right? You can literally say, oh no, this is correct, this is wrong, I don't remember this in the book, give me a source, give me the page so I can verify it. Most people don't use AI like that. They just take whatever it gives them.
Yeah.
And I do think that is a major problem. I do think instead of teaching AI in school, they should be teaching how to use it. Like, I do think in school they should be teaching how to name sources, name index. Because I remember in school, when I was in school and we were doing life orientation and we used to do research and stuff and projects, they used to literally give us a huge chunk of the marks were from sourcing your information, where you got your information. If you do a research project or poster or something, they used to have like 20% or 10% of the marks go to literally your index, your sources, where you got it, how you got it, because that's a huge part of research. That is the research in itself, knowing your sources, knowing how you got the information, so that you can literally know how to get information. That is the main point of the research, teaching you how to learn something by yourself, learning how to get research, source the book, source the page, source the website, source the article, source the journalist, right? People don't have those skills anymore. They just go to Google. Oh my God, Google said this. Google said this. Google isn't a source. It's a search engine. It gives you sources, articles, journalists, people who have done the research. It's the intermediary. It's the middleman to the research. So I don't know what they're teaching in schools now, but I know some kids in my house, for my siblings, they have homework, they go to ChatGPT. I could ask them right now, name 2 Shakespeare works. They don't know. Name like something. They go to ChatGPT. Brain rot. That is the true brain rot. Using AI as a substitute for education. That is the brain rot, I believe.
Yeah, and it's inevitable, really. I think your theory as to people eventually put the phone down and just go outside, I wish that could happen, dog. But the problem is, again, it goes back to why have people decided not to go outside? Is it really because the phone is that entertaining? There's a lot of garbage there. It's because the phone. Oh, great. What was that? Something moving up in here. What the? Oh, come on, bruh. Yeah, it's gonna be a long night. And I got work tomorrow. But anyway, the phone, it's not that it's that much interesting, but it's because the general consensus, the general narrative that we all live by, that brought us together, in which we could share things because subconsciously we're on the same wavelength, that's gone now. So people prefer to spend time on the phone because they can't relate to their neighbor or the guy at the park. So they can relate with strangers who are not even real, most likely on the internet. And they spend time buried over there. Now, when I watch AI videos, it's mostly self-improvement, right? Where they reference either philosophy or even anime, right? They put anime videos there and whatnot, make a whole speech about it. I found myself watching this now more than I watch real people these days. Because most real people, they don't have anything to offer. The narrative that they live by is one that I don't synchronize with, right? They don't have anything to say. They're just talking, bro. It's like, why are you talking? What are you trying to implement? They just hunchbacks. Either just complaining, the sky's falling, Trump lied, this and that. It's like, okay, look, man, are you teaching anything though? Or are you just trying to get clicks? Most are just trying to get clicks, just trying to get engagement. And the AI, I'm able to find what actually nourishes my soul, right? Because it is taking information and things that I'm interested in and packages it nicely and talks about it. So I don't think people are gonna go outside if the neighbor's retarded, bro. Siblings growing up in the same house, they have 2 different narratives that they live by, but they're in the same house. So it's a disaster. I mean, wives and husbands, two different narratives. She's a feminist, he's a red pillar. It's only a matter of time, right? Only a matter of time before she takes him to the cleaners, takes the house, and he rages out, goes to the woods, right? So, yeah. The dead internet theory is a real thing, but I don't think it's gonna motivate people to go find friends. Because I've been hanging out with homies that I recently reconnected with, and it's cool, but the depth of things is really lacking. Where now you're trying to bond with this dude at a subconscious level. And the subconscious is what carries the real narrative of one's beliefs or, navigations throughout this world. And then there's a clash or there's a wall. And then you see that his subconscious is still, filled with blue pill garbage. It's like maybe 60% red pill, 40% blue pill. That is cognitive dissonance in a way, right? And it's like, which one is it, bro? I want to see you whole. Which one are you whole? They can't be whole. And then, if you can't trust somebody at a subconscious level because y'all are on two different narratives or two different dimensions, you feel less motivated to spend more time with that person because you can't bond to that degree. You can't, right? And you're like, well, I can't trust somebody I can't bond with like that. So, yeah.
Nah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I can see where you're coming from. But it is difficult to find people you can bond with on that level, period. Like, even on the internet, it's pretty difficult to find people who you can relate, like you can have a deep conversation, because you just said, you mentioned depth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even you were surprised when I had a video on Dostoevsky. What? As someone in South Africa who knows Dostoevsky, right? Like, it's pretty difficult, especially around us, because of the environment, obviously. We're pretty much outliers, especially where we are. It's not like we live in a first world country like Finland or something, where you can assume, obviously I haven't been to Finland, but you can assume that everyone is pretty much educated and stuff. But it's pretty difficult. Even on the internet, it's pretty difficult to find people to bond with on that level.
And this exposes the falsehood of humanity, bro. Humans ain't shit, dog. Like, legit. we're just, it's so unfortunate, guys. I'm sorry, but we're just animals, all right? Because if we were so divine and great, yet we would have been in Mars by now, right? We would have been somewhere. We would have been, like, in a different galaxy, being eaten by aliens, right? But no, we're still here. And this exposes that humans can't bond unless they have to, right? Your wife can't like you unless she has to like you. If she pretends to like you, you're gonna end up like that Akash guy, right? She genuinely doesn't like that dude Akash. She just needed his money, right? Those two, exactly. Those two cannot bond at all. He's just a simp, crybaby loser, and she's always fantasizing about Chad, right? So you find, I mean, if guys can't bond with guys as a brotherhood, they're always backstabbing each other. Look at the indie space, bro. Like, dudes throwing each other under the bus all the time, lying and scheming, grifting and whatnot. It's sad. Then comes a genuine person like me. I'm like, yo, crucible against demoralization. Let's go. Some niggas come through, pretend they're on your side, and try to throw you under the bus. This is other men doing this. But this exposes that humans need each other. They need to. They can only truly unify against a greater enemy. I used to think that behavior was strictly amongst the Negro in Africa that niggas can't work together unless they fighting white people. But in actuality, that's all humans, right? It's all humans. Once there is general safety, they tell the neighbor to go kill himself. Like, nigga, I don't care about you. Suddenly, your best friend who had your back in high school when you were getting your ass beat, now you're older, y'all have some decent safety and comfort. Y'all can't bond the same. Y'all can't talk about the same things. Y'all can't have each other's back like that no more. You can't even force it. It's just not there. Right? A lot of humans have always trauma bonded because we were, under the elements, right? Granny got eaten by a bear. The bear's still roaming the village. What are we gonna do? Get all the men to grab the guns, right? Tell the women to protect the kids, lock the doors, blah, blah, blah. Tell Steven because he knows how to reinforce the doors very well. So he can tell Jimmy to tell Eric to go collect more wood, right? Make sure it's on the other side of the village because the bear was spotted on the other side. You see what I mean? Communication, because there has to be. There's a bear on the loose. Tell Jimmy, Isaac, James, and William that this is what we gotta do. Make sure Martha locked the door and Martina didn't go to the well to grab some water at inappropriate hours so that Jilly doesn't get eaten, right? See, they were communicating because they had to. There was a bear, right? Or during World War, oh no, the Nazis are coming over. Run, James, run. Go to the bunker, blah, 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 blah. It's sad. Humans ain't shit, bro. Like, but this does not mean you should be depressed just because you're just a dirty animal, right? You take a bath, right? You take a shower, more than a dirty animal. And this should be more liberating that, you know what? As an animal, an animal that thinks, I truly do have the greatest freedom. I am not bound by my instincts to just procreate, sleep, and bite people, right? I can steer my instincts to achieve something that can be pleasurable, as long as I don't kill anyone, right? So that's freedom, but it comes with the responsibility of finding the right path, right? Because if you fail, it's on you. You're gonna have to blame yourself. And some people, they just can't blame themselves. They're gonna grab a gun before they blame themselves. They would rather blame the government. I listened to Trump and he didn't deliver. I listened to the ANC government and they didn't deliver. It's easier to blame somebody aside from yourself. But now, guys, it's clear as day. Trump ain't gonna save you. The government ain't gonna save you. So you kind of have to save yourself.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty much.
But it is hard, man. I won't lie, dog. Like yesterday, a nigga was in anguish. Not because of the spider bite alone, but I was like, I saw this video, man. I'm not gonna say what it was. But bro, that video, dog, it made me so depressed, man. And I was like, so I still had hope in my heart a little bit, huh? And it was about Japan. I saw that video and everything crumbled in me, bro. And I was like, why am I crumbling? I thought I accepted reality. I guess not. I just had to see that video. I was obliterated. You know, that truly Japan now is legit like flipping California, right? They are now promoting Californian garbage in Japan as mainstream. And the worst part is, it's in Japanese, you know? So I'm like, oh no, it's over. The Jews won, you know? But oh well. Still got freedom. Despite the Jew running around and, you know, doing what he's doing, hey man, you can still make the decision to do something for yourself. So it ain't all that bad. You know?
Yeah, it's not. I think you got like 5 more comments. Let me read them. Lux says, just realized this is my. Nah, I read that. LeMay says, it was traced by my mom's family name. The female elder was above all, and the mother's brother was a respected figure.
Oh. Well, so these days, the mother's brother is the slave. He ain't gonna be respected. So you see, it looks like matriarchy back then was rather decent in comparison to what it is now. The mother's brother is the butler, and that's all he'll be remembered as. Hey, Uncle Butler, can you get me some butter? Right? They're not gonna respect him. So
Yeah. Lux says, dealing with the fear of the unknown. Terrifying. Fear of the unknown is pretty. It depends. I guess me, myself, I've been consuming a lot of cyberpunk media, a lot of futuristic stuff, a lot of not so hopeful media. So I'm kind of not immune, but desensitized, I think is the better word, to the future going up in smoke. Corporations taking over. Living in a world of dog eats dog. So I'm not really like scared of anything. I already accepted it a long time ago, but guess yeah, it is pretty terrifying. It is pretty terrifying. Zach Berry says, I just want AI to go away. Stories will suffer because of it. It's just making people lazy and reducing their creativity.
unfortunately, bro, you want the inevitable to go away. It ain't going.
I don't think it's going anywhere, bro.
Yeah.
That is the sad reality. Like Art says, as if misinformation isn't already big enough of a problem today, it's only going to get worse as AI progresses. That's what I dislike the most about how people use AI. People just love to ruin the potential of things that could better their living.
But let's be honest, Brad. Because see, all of this is showing that all of y'all were still holding on to your hopeful narratives. Guys, we've been cooked since the end of Rome, bro. You understand? We've been cooked for basically 3,000 years. Okay? So, the thing is, when you say AI is ruining, it's going to ruin the potential and stuff like that, humanity would have been far ahead, right, if the Renaissance was not sabotaged, right? It really would have. The Renaissance was sabotaged by, Christianity, because it did not allow humans, it demonized humans who could thrive outside the church, right? It did. And there was one scientist, I think before Nietzsche's time, who was brilliant, a mathematician, physicist, and all that. And suddenly he abandoned all that genius because he was paralyzed by the terror of the living God, right? He suddenly made an enemy of himself with the world around him. And he forsook all the knowledge he knew of the world and counted it as meaningless, pointless, and foolish in the eyes of God. So, and Corinthians talks about that God has chosen the foolish things of the world to deem it worthy, and so on. And so he became foolish for God's sake and condemned everybody, saying, listen, this world is perishing. Us trying to figure out these things and being mathematicians, that's pointless. If he committed further to his craft, right, who knows what he would have unlocked, right? The steam engine or whatever technology that we got in the 19th century, in the 20th century, probably would have been unlocked, right, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, whenever he was alive. You see? So the robbery of human potential has always been there. It's been happening, right? And now we want to be like, AI has been robbing, is going to rob people's potential. Let's just look at mainstream media since the 1960s, bro. Looking at the civil rights movement. That was a psyop. What it achieved, what it was trying to actually do. The establishment of the CIA. Real human potential has been robbed the most since the end of World War II. The most, bro. Right? They've been cooking our grandfathers' brains with mainstream media trash, orchestrating fake wars and proxy wars and whatevers, right? To make you live in fear, to make you not want to go beyond, right? Because you're too afraid and you think it's pointless. And then on top of that, they give you scripture that approves your self-fulfilling prophecy that, okay, I'm seeing this disaster, Jesus is coming next week. But he never did, right? Inflation went up. You look at Revelation, you're like, this is the second seal being opened, you know, or is it the third seal, the third horseman, where there's mass inflation, blah, blah, blah. You look at that and you're like, aha, we're in the tribulation. No, right? Not at all. It is a tribulation for your society at that time, but it's called decadence. It's not divine. So look at the two examples thus far that have been robbing human potential outside of AI. It's been literally religion and mainstream media. These have been the greatest two thieves of human potential. And now we're going to be mad at the AI while AI is actually able to make our workload easier. Not that I don't use it for art, no, but I'll use it for finding information, you know, easier, and then I'll cross-reference, right? Or I'll watch an AI video with topics I am versed in. It's more stimulating for me, right? AI gives something back. The people who consume AI as if AI is like legit, it's this, they've always been retarded. Okay? They've always been retarded, no difference. So I think we shouldn't be mad at AI. Let's be mad at, well, yourself, I guess. You can be mad at yourself. But being mad at, being mad at the government is pointless because there's nothing you can do. Being mad at Jesus is pointless because there's nothing you can do. So if you want to be mad, bro, legit, be mad at yourself at this point, right? And forgive yourself for falling for the psyop, right? Believing in the Disney Channel, for living in hope your whole life that the Lord is going to bless you. The word blessing is a substitution for luck, right? And lucky people usually don't have to put much effort into anything, right? And that's what makes something a blessing. You didn't have to work for it. God just gave you. That's luck, right? But there ain't no luck now, bro, right? There ain't no blessing. It's just you. And if you don't do anything about it right now, you're going to be broke, busted, and disgusting. And it's going to be your fault. And you can't blame anyone.
You know, looking at the screen now, I'm looking at Yajirobe, bro. Yajirobe. Isn't it crazy how in the world of Dragon Ball Z, you still have characters like Yajirobe, Krillin, Tien, characters who offer nothing in the grand scheme of like power scaling and universe stakes kind of fights, but they're always there. Don't you find that interesting?
Yeah, that is actually pretty interesting that they are there to contribute what they can, even though it's very
exactly little. Like, I love that you said they contribute where they can, because right now I'm thinking about Tien doing that thing to Cell, and he's insignificant to Cell, bro. Even in first form Cell, I think first form cell can kill like Tien, right? But in that moment in time, when Tien was giving it the cell and keeping him down, right? It was such a historical moment to me because if he wasn't there, you know, we know Cell eventually reaches perfect form, but that moment is still important in history because Tien was there to prevent Cell from getting 18 in that particular moment, right? Um, I really like the fact that they don't shelve off mediocre characters. Right? I say mediocre very loosely here because they're not really mediocre. Yajirobe is kind of the guy that he lives with. He creates senso. I almost said he creates senso beans, but I know he doesn't. But he's that character I associate with senso beans, and I don't know. Like these characters somehow to me have value because Yajirobe is actually the guy who was there when they were fighting Vegeta, and he wanted to off Vegeta, right?
Right.
When Vegeta was like after he transformed into a great ape, and he was like done. He was dusted, right? And Yajiro was like, "Hey, yo, let's end it right here, right?" I think he cut Vegeta's tail or
He
something.
did.
I don't remember.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And Krillin was
Yeah.
about to kill Vegeta with the sword.
Yeah, Krillin was the one. Yeah. Oh, dude, like these characters for me are like so important, man. Like, I don't know why I'm thinking about it. I guess it's because I'm seeing him on the screen right now. But like, damn, these small characters. It makes me think of. Now we're gonna talk about anime, but I don't really want to talk about that right now because we're talking about patriarchy and stuff. Whatever we're talking about. Let me just read the comments. Black Swan says, Pierce, are you open to doing manga reviews on your channel? Also, what is your channel name? I heard you say you had 2 channels. Can you put it in the description or insert in the chat? For sure, bro. I can insert that in the chat. And for sure, I am open to doing manga reviews at this
All this time when I did put your channel in the description box, no one clicked. Now, the time I don't do it, everybody's like, "Hey, where is he at?" Like, come on.
Well, some of them do. Some of them do, bro. I know Zach Berry subscribed to my channel. I think Black Swan also subscribed to my channel, but he subscribed to the other one, right? Not the main one that I post regularly on, but he subscribed to the gaming one. I saw that.
Oh.
But they do, bro. And I noticed them, because some of them, you know how on YouTube there's a setting that you can switch on and off where you can have people know, well, not people, but have public subscriptions. Like when you subscribe to someone, they know that you subscribe to them. Or sometimes you can have that off and you just subscribe to people and they don't know who subscribed to them. They just know they have a new subscriber.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a setting. So some of them just subscribe and I don't know who subscribed because I don't get it doesn't tell me who just subscribed. It just says, "Oh, you have a new subscriber." It doesn't tell me who. So some people like to keep the subscriptions private. I'm actually one of them. I don't like to have my subscriptions public.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, but yeah, some of them do.
Nice.
But yeah, and then Lux says, wasn't talking about AI specifically when I mentioned the potential thing though. Just saying in the grand scheme of things, we tend to dig our own graves more often than not, we as people. Which is true.
That's why I'm saying humans ain't shit, man. The problem is, you see, a creature that thinks does sabotage itself. And if a lion were to think, it would have starved to death, bro. Why am I chasing this impala? Do I have to eat impala all the time? Why is there only impala here? Why is there only this type of prey here? I want to go elsewhere. What is beyond that sea? I want to swim. Can't swim the distance or die. Right? And man, the evolutionist people, when they said it was just a random Big Bang, I think that's ridiculous. But I sometimes I feel like if it was all part of some great plan, humans wouldn't be this retarded, you know. Because even the most intelligent human, he crashes out, bro. He'll grab the liquor bottle or jump off a cliff. You know, so it's just weird. Honestly, it's just really weird.
Ah, man, I agree. But there's a part of me that thinks that um, it's what makes us human, bro. Our shortcomings, right? And I'm saying this because of I'm thinking about characters in fiction. Right? I know using fiction to justify reality is kind of like stupid, but think about it. Think about the characters in fiction that achieve enlightenment. The characters that achieve, I don't want to say knowledge or wisdom, but like, yeah, characters that achieve enlightenment. They always come to the conclusion that we as humans are nothing but a primitive species and we come in our own way. Like we are the ones that standing in our own way most of the time. Our instinct, our primal instincts are the things that drive us. They're also the things that stop us from achieving greatness most of the time.
Yeah, that is true.
So
It's paradoxical.
yeah,
Our
yeah, it is. We are sort of like a. But you would assume that because we have consciousness, subconsciousness, the mind, the brain, whatever you want to call it, we would be better than the other race, like not races, but other animal species, right? However, it just gives us a tiny bit of technical advantage, tactical advantage, right? However, it doesn't take away from the fact that we are still animals at the end of the day. That's why I remember talking to someone and I said, sure, there are smart people and there are stupid people, but most of the time it dials down to actions. A smart person can't have a stupid action, can do a stupid action, I mean. And sometimes a stupid person can make a smart action.
That's true.
It doesn't really dial down to your nature. Sometimes it dials down to a moment, right? I know this is cringe, but I'm thinking of that guy from Deadpool. I'm not I'm not a fan of Deadpool. Oh, I should say I'm not a fan of Ryan Reynolds. I'm not sure which is which, but there's a scene in the movie. I think it's the first movie, the first Deadpool, where he's like, people think being a hero is 24/7, right? You wake up a hero, brush your teeth a hero, put your trousers on a hero, but it's not. Really dials down to 4 or 5 moments. You get 5 moments in life where you can be a hero. And one of those moments is when you have your opposition down on their knees and you have the gun and you can end them and you can choose to do so or not. Right? I do think that is the antithesis of the human experience. Not really being a hero, but the whole thing just dials down to a few moments, really. It just dials down to a few moments.
You're
It doesn't
right.
matter.
You're
What?
right. No, you're right, bro. It is about those few moments. We can live and pursue and fight for those very moments because that's what you're gonna remember the most. Not when you brush
Exactly.
your teeth or ate breakfast, but those moments of aha, you know.
Yeah, and they are rare. Like you get them, they're few and far in between, bro.
Very, very much so.
Yeah. So that's what I think. We have one more comment. Luck Art saying, "Yep, valid point."
Yeah, y'all. You know, the existentialism is real up on this channel, bro. See, the hunchbacks never reach this level because they mostly function at a lower frequency and they are always just squirming around looking for what they can disagree on. They cannot go beyond this. They are just inadequate, cognitively impaired creatures who thrive only in conflict. And you know, I'm not gonna blame them so much anymore, but I will make fun of them for their retardation if they come at me. But it's just all these things are important because every story written, every story told was to unify people at a subconscious level about the environment they were in. And now, there is no singular story that unites humanity. You know, the Japanese that made stories that were against the Christian narrative, right? We can see them subvert the Christian God and blah blah blah, like you see it in Bleach. Yuha, Baha, Yahweh, Yehovah, yada yada, right? You could see it. I don't blame them at all anymore because they've always known what I know now, right? I get it now. And the unifying aspect of Japan's narrative was its culture itself, right? They, they took Buddhism, they allowed Buddhism to come into their shores. They had Shintoism, but those were never unique gods to Japan, really, right? I wanted to know about the Japanese mythos in terms of where it all began. Who is the supreme god, the other gods in Japan? Then I heard, I didn't look too deeply into it, but there's Izanami, Izanagi, Susanoo. Yeah, they're there, but this pantheon of Japanese gods are not honored at a serious level. And for centuries, they did not honor them as other places would honor their pantheon of gods. They didn't. It looks like the Japanese were ultra pragmatic, in which they knew that this pantheon of gods is pretty much a mirroring of our current society in this reality, right? We can use this pantheon of gods to teach the little ones how society functions, right? Amaterasu represents this, it means that, blah, 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 blah. It actually explains how your own society works. That was the point of their pantheon, as well as the Sumerian pantheon. But now, the current pantheon is female, nigger, and gay person. And what does a world look like when those three pillars are erect? It looks like a complete hellscape. That is what we're experiencing right now, right? But despite the hellscape, it doesn't guarantee extermination of our population. The population is going down. That's what they say. But then at the same time, they tell us the population just reached 8 billion. Which one is it? They are changing things and facts like a woman changes her emotions. You see, man, this is what happens when you put the female goddess as the supreme god. She changes her mind all the time. Population going down, but it's 8 billion now. What? Nobody knows what's going on. Like, we don't know who's driving. We don't know where we're going. But what we do know, when you look at things mechanically, I speak about this in the video that'll come out on Sunday. You look at things mechanically, how things are still together. It does create more cognitive dissonance because you're expecting things to crumble because of this new trinity. But how come it's not crumbling? Like now we're all starving to death, right? How come all the retarded politicians haven't burnt the place down? How can this be? It's confusing, and it forces you to switch off from how the world you live in actually works, and forces you to go into a different dimension where you create your own little narrative. This is both a good thing and a bad thing. Bad because you can never have real influence in the real world, but good because you can make whatever type of life you want for yourself in the corner that you were born in. And if you find other people who, run into your corner, like, hey man, looks chilled over here. How's about I move in? Like, all right, man, you're gonna have to pay rent though. Cool, I'll pay rent. That's a positive way to look at it, and I don't mind if it's like that. I don't mind because I don't have a choice. But at least a dude can go to Starbucks as things are. So
Fair point. Fair point. Fair point, bro.
yeah, it's scary, bro. I see dudes walking into the bookstore, right? And they can pick up a few books. Yeah, it's mostly how to get rich books. But I look into their eyes, man, and I see that there's no one home, man. Like, there's no one home. They confused, bruh. They confused. That's why they pursue money. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
That's sad, bro. That's sad, bro. Every time when I've always believed that there's always been a line, especially when it comes to books. There's always been a line between people who buy fiction books and people who buy non-fiction books. And by non-fiction, I mean the like how to get rich books, the self-improvement books, all that stuff. I've always believed that there's a line. There's people who buy fiction books and people who buy non-fiction books. I mean, yeah, I buy non-fiction books also, but not how to get rich books, but like philosophy books, right? And all the old Chuck, not is his name Chuck Bukowski? Yeah, that guy. I like how he talks. Do you know him? He's like a poet.
I heard of them, but I don't really
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I like his stuff, right? And obviously philosophy stuff. But I engage more in fiction stuff. I've always believed that both these people, right, believe that the books they're buying will make their lives better.
Yeah,
Me, I believe fiction will make my life better because I don't think the answers of realism are in realistic books like How to Get Rich. I don't think the answers of how to make my life better lie in those books. I believe that in fiction, reality is mirrored much more greatly than in realism.
right.
Because um, I've always felt like if I'm writing a book and it's a fiction book, right? Let's say it's a hyper fantasy, right? Let's make an example with Lord of the Rings. My favorite character in Lord of the Rings is Sam. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Yeah,
Yeah, Sam is like the most basic character, bro. He's not even he's the best friend of the main character. He has no powers. He's just like a hobbit, right? But in the end, he's the guy who makes sure that Frodo gets to the end. In the end, Frodo actually loses himself to the ring. And Sam is the one that's like, yo, if anything happens in this fucking story, is that Frodo is gonna get to the end of the story and he's gonna destroy the ring. That's what's gonna happen. That's what I'm going with him. And in that story, you have wizards, bro. You have chosen ones like Aragorn. You have so many things going on, and the guy who makes sure the story happens is Sam.
good point.
And for me, that inspires me much more than a guy telling me to buy stocks, bro. I'm
Right.
telling you, bro. Like, it just inspires me much more than some guy telling me, yo, buy this stock, buy Apple, buy this, diversify your portfolio. Okay, I'm doing that, like, and then what? But me, reading the story of Frodo, Baggins, Sam, Aragorn, reading this story inspires me to do it. It's like long-term inspiration. I haven't read Lord of the Rings. I just watched the movies, bro. And I haven't watched those movies in years. And I'm still thinking about Sam, about how he was like fighting a spider that was scary. He has no powers, no nothing, and he's like, yo, Frodo is getting to that tower. Dead or alive, he's getting to that tower. Right. So I'm sure someone who reads self-help books will tell me something different. He's like, yeah, that's fun and all, but how are you going to make money? Okay, I don't think money is everything. I think power comes from within, And I'm saying all of this to tie it into what you said about Japanese, right? About how their mythos reflect current societal issues. I've always noticed how in Japanese stories, they're always fighting God, right? They're always trying to kill God and stuff. And it's mostly what this is what I've assumed, right? This is not a fact, but I've always thought that the Japanese philosophy, especially in storytelling, has always been power comes from within. It doesn't come from exterior forces like gods and stuff. It has to come from within. Right? When Goku beats Frieza, his rage, his need comes from within him. Krillin doesn't beg him to turn Super Saiyan. Krillin is dead. Piccolo is dead. He literally needs to turn Super Saiyan. He needs to kill Frieza. And it's him who controls his power and doesn't kill Frieza. Right? Frieza kills himself with his desperation and pride. Right? And you can switch that and go to Naruto. Naruto, most of the villains in Naruto are correct. Most of them are correct. They just have the wrong execution and how to fix the problem. Most of them can identify the problem and know the problem. They just mess up when they have to fix the problem. Right. But Naruto is like, yo, the only way I'm going to fix the problem is by believing in myself and being powerful enough to change the system. Even if I have to punch you hard enough to make you believe what I'm saying, I'm going to do it. He doesn't believe in anything else. He believes in himself, right? He doesn't believe in the beliefs of the second Hokage. He doesn't believe in his father. He believes in what he believes, which is himself. I'm going to be Hokage. I'm going to change the world. And changing the world only came later in the story. All he wanted to do was become Hokage. Through the experiences of others and the villains, they made him become the Naruto we see at the end of the story, right? Everything in the Japanese storytelling has taught me that power comes from within. It doesn't come from exterior forces. And I'm not an atheist, right? I do believe in a creator. My relationship with faith and religion is very complicated. I don't believe in religion as a system. I believe in faith, right? The fact that there is a higher power. I don't believe in coincidences. Like, I'm still figuring it out. I'm not a guy who's going to tell you, yeah, believe in God, believe in this. I always liked Life of Pi. Have you read Life of Pi?
Isn't that hippie girl book? I haven't. But...
Hippie girl book? Nah, bro. Life of Pi is a book about this guy who gets stranded in the ocean with a tiger on a lifeboat.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Yeah.
What the hell?
I got the wrong book.
Nah, bro. Life of Pi is about this guy. I think he's on a cruise. Not a cruise, but a ship with his parents and animals. Because his parents owned a zoo. And they were moving to Canada. But along the way, the ship crashed. And he survived on a lifeboat with a tiger, an orangutan, and and a zebra. Right? And he has to survive the whole journey on a lifeboat with a tiger, an orangutan, and a zebra.
Oh,
and along
I know
the way,
the movie. It's the Indian guy.
Yeah, he has a movie. Yeah, he has a movie. It's actually a good movie. It's a good adaptation. So in the movie, the zebra dies and the orangutan dies, and he has to survive with the tiger. And the movie depicts it as if he's telling someone the story of how he survived. And no one believed that he survived a whole journey from India to Canada with a tiger on a lifeboat. So he tells them a different story because they don't believe that one. He just tells them that, oh, I was on a lifeboat with my mother, chef, and some other guy, or I forgot the logistics. But in the end of the day, he turns out, not him, but the chef turns out to be a cannibal, and the cannibal eats his mother and the other guy. And basically, he just replaces the animals with characters. And people believe that story. And at the end of the story, he's like, you believe whichever story you believe. But at the end of the day, the story is the same. I survived a days-long trip with no food, alone, with something. And I'm here now, and I'm telling you the story. So it doesn't matter which story you believe, right? But that's not the important part. The important part was in the start of the story, Pi believes in three religions. And those three religions don't go well with each other. And his father criticizes him that, like, you can't believe three religions because if you believe three things, that means you don't believe in anything fully.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter to Pi because he doesn't really believe in these religions the same way. Well, he doesn't need the same things other people need from those religions, right? Most people believe in religions because they need a savior. They need someone to tell them that everything is going to be okay when they die, right? Do these things and you will be saved, right? They need that. But Pi doesn't need those things from these religions. That's why three opposing religions don't bother him. He believes in those religions because he values the principles of those religions, right? So, yeah, I kind of lost what I was gonna say, the conclusion, but yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah,
Well, I agree indeed with your observation that the Japanese teach us that power comes from within. I was rereading Berserk Volume 1 to 3. Brilliant as always, but indeed, man, like gods or the god in Japanese honestly represents fate. You know,
yeah,
they are trying to kill fate, and the global subconscious representation, personification of fate is the Christian God. So when the Japanese take the Christian mythos and the Christian God and put it in their video games or their manga and whatnot, they're taking from the subconscious realm that we all share in that idea. Now we don't share it anymore, right? Because now there's a new narrative that everybody's living by in their subconscious, and this is what's creating problems. People are saying that game sucks, that story sucks. Based on what? Based on which subconscious are you living by? It's confusion, right? Different emotions because the female goddess is in power. But anyway, the power does come from within, but now, you know, even that's being sabotaged. Where I've always spoken about the inner man needs to be set free. You know, the inner man is the real you. It is the guy who comes up because he was greatly inspired and he needed to come out. But now, thanks to all of this comfort in junk food and whatever, there's no need for the inner man. And so there's no need for the patriarchy. Right? You can have a guy who's like 6'5", swole and whatnot and super strong, but he's a total bitch ass. He can have the appearance of strength, but he's not strong in mind, in spirit, in heart. He's just wishy-washy, double-minded as the flippin' sea, bruh. Right? His brain, his beliefs turn this way, that way, fumbling. As if he's on his periods instead of his mission. Right? Instead of his purpose. Dudes today don't have a purpose, they just on their periods. So, bruh, it is a crazy time to be alive. And the people who wish they could go back like 400 years ago, nah, bro, you'd be dead in an hour. Okay? Let's be honest, you'll be dead in an hour. I think I'm a tough guy fighting these lizards, but I would have been stabbed eventually, like on the third day. I wasn't going to make it. But now, with all this stuff that we know, it's like, okay, if you think you can survive like life in 400 years ago, which you can't, right? Let's see if you can rewrite your narrative now that actually kind of synchronizes with reality, like real reality, you know, not crazy reality. And inspire people. Because going back to the David Goggins example, man, that you said, Goggins either is going to motivate you or flipping demotivate you. He's going to make you feel like a guy who can make it or like a guy who should just hang himself, you know. So now it's like, okay, are you capable of being a David Goggins? If so, well, athletically, am I saying that? Athletically? Which aspect right? Which aspect can you be a David Goggins in? And I think now the stories you tell, you gotta have that in mind. Because what I'm gonna do with Bloody Hell is indeed everything I've spoken about, everything that y'all now know that I'm saying here, the narratives, the conditioning, the duality, all these things, it's going to be in the story, right? Explored and whatnot. It's going to be in the story. Not preachy, but actually properly within the fiction of it. That's how I'm going to go about it. Because now I feel very strong about our current condition. This is the new human condition. The confusion, the double-mindedness, the multiple narratives. I'm going to take that and put in the story and be like, Jacob, which narrative you don't understand? You've been running around with that narrative. That's why you keep crashing out. And Jacob has been crashing out. And I didn't know that I've been making Jacob crash out all this time. I was making him crash out subconsciously because I was crashing out subconsciously. But now that I'm fully conscious of everything, now I have better control and I can tell the story more clearer, right? And that's what makes you a real storyteller. So, yeah, y'all. That's it from me. You got any last words, man?
My last words would be, don't believe everything. And by that, I probably mean that not just with AI, not just with patriarchy, matriarchy, religion, or everything we discuss on this episode, but with just even yourself. We can delude ourselves. I know I delude myself a lot, negatively and positively. I can find ways to motivate myself through lies, but I don't think anyone has the answers for anything. And I think the main point, I think something we discussed a lot on this episode was that, because you said, Coffee said, humans ain't shit, right? And I'm like, yeah, but maybe that's the point, right? We ain't shit, so sometimes we should not beat ourselves as much. Because I know I beat myself up a lot. I know you probably beat yourself up a lot, Coffee. But when it comes to stories, which is basically the main purpose of the channel, right? Coffee Comics is about stories and comic books, manga, MANAA, right? It's sometimes we find ourselves through the stories that we create. So just create, man. Like, even if it's a bad story, just create it. You learn from it. You learn yourself. Teach yourself. So yeah, because I remember when we started the episode, we were talking about fatherhood, right? Masculinity and patriarchy. And we were talking about how it's worthwhile to teach someone else. But your mistakes can also teach you, right? It's never too late to right or wrong. It's never too late to do that. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna.
Well said. Well said. No more comments?
We have one. It's from Zach Berry. No. It's actually from Black Swan. He says, we have two. Black Swan says, you going to conduct this journey with no money?
Hey, man. Yeah, you said that, Pierce, that money ain't everything. And, Andrew Tate would say it's because you don't have it. So.
Of course I don't have it. But the thing is, money puts pavement on the journey, but I can still walk on rocks, right. On a rocky road. I can still walk on it, and I can walk on that rocky road because I consumed fantasy, right? Yeah, money makes the road go better, for sure, make me faster, make me reach more people, but right now in this podcast, we're talking to maybe 20 people. That's enough for us right now. Is it like the person, Black Swan, you made that account, you tuning in, bro. You tuning in. Even last time you were tuning in. You tune in every time. So yeah, money can get me 20 more black swans, but you right there, you listening, that's enough for me right now.
In
I'm
the
sure that's
end,
enough for coffee too. So
yeah.
yeah, with money, I'm sure we can do more. But right now, with what we have, don't you think that's enough, bro? For
Mm.
now, I'm not saying we're satisfied, but we're making progress. A step ahead, and like a step in front of another one. That's what we're not stationary, bro. Yeah, we're using pencils, but we're not stationary. That's a bar.
That's a bar. You know, money
But
cannot buy. It can't buy everything. It can't buy authenticity. You know, a lot of the big YouTubers they buy bots. Look at White Manga. He bought bots too. You know, and like there is no impact from his channel. 15 years worth of being on YouTube, and there's no impact, bro. So we need money, we do, and it
yeah,
as you said, it puts pavement. But in the end, the guy who traversed the rocky road, survived with a broken leg, he does have more value to offer than the guy who bought a Lamborghini to drive all the way to the hilltop. He actually missed out on the journey. He has no stories
exactly.
to tell because he was in a fancy car being comfortable while we were being chased by lions. Survived and lost one hand, you know, so yeah.
For sure. For sure, for sure. Zach says, side note, Frieza had a deep bag of tricks in DBZ. I'm more impressed as an adult than I was as a kid. Yo, that guy did not want to die, bro.
He didn't want to lose to no monkey, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no, he didn't.
The dude was cut in half and he was still fighting.
Yeah, now that's a villain right there, bruh. Like,
Bro, yo,
proper.
that guy was crazy.
Proper, bro. Like, no monkey gonna kill me. Bro, if a nigga comes with a machete and tries to cut me open, I ain't gonna die, bro. Like, now, I'm taking you with me, dog. Like, I'm taking you with me.
Hey, yo, Frieza was crazy, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last one is from Luck, and he says, finding ourselves from the stories we make. That's fire. Thank you, bro. Thank you. From the dome, my guy.
Mm-hmm. Now, y'all, there is a point after all. And we are fulfilling that very point, that very purpose by being right here, having this caffeine. You know, this is church, bro. You know, this is a congregation right here. Each time there's a gathering, everybody gets some nourishment and some fresh ideas. That's how it's supposed to be. We're not just singing songs and dancing, drinking juice and going home. You go home with a refreshed mind and food for thought. You ain't gonna get it nowhere else, right? Only here. So y'all go ahead and jump on that Patreon if you haven't already. Um, and yeah, subscribe to Pierce's channel. Give him $5 to go get some Starbucks. I'm sure you need some Starbucks, right, man?
Who doesn't, bro?
Yeah, who doesn't? I definitely need a $5 donation right now, y'all. Like that lizard just and the spider bite. It wore me out, you know. And the spider is probably waiting for me in the bed because I couldn't find it. So, ah, oh well. That's it then, y'all. Until next time, I'm gonna end it here. Okay.